Hello, hello. I don't know what possessed me today. I have no idea, but I was kind of like reading a lot of stuff today, and I was reading a lot of stuff about the YOLO Box and new wireless HDMI setups, and it really just made me feel like, hey, kind of enthusiastic about maybe doing some different stuff that I've been thinking about doing for a long time. So I jumped in and just said, let me stream for a little bit. I'm so rusty. I even reached out to my friend Jeff, that some of you may know, and I said, hey, do you want to do a little stream today? And he was busy doing some stuff, but we've been planning on trying to do something soon. I am on Facebook. If you are on Facebook watching, you could jump onto Coffee Talk and Tech on YouTube also. If you want to drop a comment there, I could see your comments. Marcus, how you doing? Nice to see you. Yeah, so I mean, you could drop into Facebook and just watch there too. I see you guys over there. It's just a lot easier for comments and to respond to comments on YouTube. And so that would be Coffee Talk and Tech when it comes to YouTube. Yeah, so anyways, it's been quite a while since I live streamed, and I've been thinking about pretty much the same things that I've been wanting to do for years. It's just, it always becomes a effort to have enough time to do the things that we want to accomplish. And Lord knows, staying in this studio and doing the things that I've been doing for a few years is a lot simpler than getting out in the field, for that matter, right? Whatever the field may be for somebody. But what I'm talking about is, I've been watching products come out for the last few years about live streaming and recording out in the field. And there's just some new products that are out there that are simplifying and making things a lot more easier. And so I've been interested in a few of them and been pondering whether or not I should make some of these purchases this year at some time. No rush in that matter. But yeah, this is what happens when you hit the button on your desk and your desk starts moving up and almost takes my speakers out. But sorry about that. And yeah, so what I'm trying to say is, like, there's opportunities out there, right? For live streaming, bands, live streaming, graduations, live streaming, weddings, anything like that. And I personally have friends that do some of this stuff that are out there. And yeah, I mean, the field can be fun, Marcus, and it's a little intimidating, I think, at some times. And so, I have other friends who are out there and they're starting new businesses and doing some of the things that, I've been doing for years now on Facebook, Instagram, all those things. And, you know, um, there's just techniques and ways to sell yourself and things that you put out that people need help with. And so that is how you spin everything, because it's not like you have to sell yourself, because there are people out there that need the help. And so you have to just talk about the things that you're doing and the things that it can achieve for people. And then those people will come to you. And I'm talking about things like marketing in your local towns for businesses. And I know I've been saying this for years, but still to this day, I don't see any of these towns taken, or these companies taking advantage for any of these types of things. As far as like marketing themselves, even like if you're a food business, you're a realtor, you're a business in a local town, you can stream to all these Facebook groups if they allow you to. And if you can't, they'll shut you down and you won't be able to. But a lot of them, they don't even know that they have that active. And so you can sneak in there and you can have an opportunity to sell yourself in these different ways. And you got an audience of 10,000 plus people right there like that. And then from there, I'm talking about There's, the YOLO Box, the YOLO Live, the YOLO Ultra has come out this past year, and some of those things are pretty amazing. Now, granted, 3 years ago when the YOLO Box Pro came out, that wasn't, it still was a good product, but there's just a lot of factors that come in. Like people think, oh, is this going to work so good? It is a bit rough in some places to use some of these things. And when I'm talking about that, why is it rough? Okay, because it's wireless. It's Are you going to have a way to have the internet if you're not plugged in with an RJ45? If you're not using someone's very good wireless, are you going to get a 4G signal? Are you going to get a bonded signal through what you're using? Are you going to pay for a SIM card for 4G, 5G, anything like that? Hi, Chris. How you doing in Florida? Thanks for coming in. I'm just chatting, just like I said. Sometimes I just want to chat. It doesn't have to be about anything special. And sometimes I just like to share some things. And if people come in here and want to join, that's fun, and just bounce things off people and just sometimes just clear my mind about some of the things and get out here and stream, which I haven't been doing a ton of. And so I've had so many new subscribers in the last year that haven't seen me stream and have questions and reach out to me. And I'm very thankful for all those people and the questions I get, even a lot of questions about some of my old videos. And it's amazing to see how many views some of those older videos get still. It is really interesting. But yeah, I mean, so the YOLO Live, you don't maybe even know what this is, right? It's it's the size of about a 7 inch, tablet, and it's Android form. And you can switch video on there. You can record video on it. You can have audio recorded to it. You can record to an SD card and live stream at the same time. If you have 4 cameras connected, you can record each camera isolated, or you can record the finished unit of all 4 cameras with the product. So, I mean, there's just a lot of things that you can do with that. But the connection becomes the big thing, right? If you are going to say live stream something out, that always is the issue, is if you're going to have a secure enough connection. But not does everybody need something live streamed like that, whereas they want to find something that's just like an affordable, record or recording of a ceremony or something that's going on. And so sometimes I feel like, and listen, when you start this stuff, my feeling is I get out there and you're practically giving yourself away because you want to get to the experience. You want to use something for someone maybe that never even thought about like recording something, their son's birthday, their 10th birthday, their 13th birthday. Okay, I'll bring a few things. Let's record things. Let's switch the cameras, and you have different views, and the audio's coming in from, a particular mic for better, volume in certain circumstances, or from multiple, cameras. And so you can use all this and really work on some of the stuff that you need to get polished on. And then so you kind of give this stuff away. But like, I don't really care if that's the thing, if you're giving it away, because you got to start somewhere and you got to start working on yourself to improve. So it's not really that big of a deal. And so, that's the one thing. And then the other thing is I see that there are some new wireless units out there, wireless HDMIs, where you can buy the one receiver and you can have 3 wireless units off in the field for one receiver. And so I was thinking like that would be really nice. And you don't have to buy all 3 in the field. You could, if you want to buy one for now and then add the other 2 later, you can do any of that. And still, but you're not buying separate, receivers. And six receive. You don't have to have three and then three out in the field. You could just have one versus three remotes out in the field. And so that's the kind of thing that, I think would be more usable and less cables and less situation to confuse more things. Cause I have like a Hollyland wireless receiver that I was using. It's actually on one of the cameras that are in the back of my room. And I used it wirelessly in the back of the room because it's great for that, right? Don't have to run a wire back there. But now I've been using one of these Obsbot Tail Airs, which I can use wirelessly through NDI, or I can use wired with a Cat 5, Cat 6 wire, which that's what I use for the rear. And actually, I can hear the mic is on it. You hear that echo? And now I just turned it off. So that is being used in the back of the room. And I've done a video on this, and I just feel like the quality of it is pretty awesome. And then I can use this like simple remote here that they sent with it. And I pushed the button. I could use up to three of them. I have 1, 2, 3. You see the green one in the middle. All I do is just hit that up, and then I can turn this any which way I want. So that's been like really useful in the back of my room right now. And that's what I've been using instead of like having an A64 or something else like that. Hi, Mom, how you doing? And so that's those are some of the things that I've changed lately, because I'm just thinking like, got to make sure I don't overdo the cameras that I have and how many. And then I want to make sure that I have some updated equipment. And the great thing is like even using an older camera like an A64, if I was out in the field recording this with some good lenses or anything like that, it really wouldn't make too much of a difference either way. The quality would be definitely very good. And I think we always put pressure on ourselves, like, is the product that we have going to be good enough, or is what we're going to do be good enough? And at some point you just got to say, I'm going to go for this and see how it pans out. And you don't get better by just sitting and watching all the time, right? Because I didn't get better at live streaming by just watching other people live stream. I got better by jumping in there and doing hundreds of hours of live streaming. And that's really helped a lot, Hi guys, hi Bracket, hi Kim Bucha, hello, how you doing? My mom, hello, Chris, Marcus, how all of you? Thanks for popping in. And so we got people from Switzerland, we got people from Africa, we got people from Florida, and we got people from Washington State. So we got some people are from around just watching right now on YouTube. And I'd say probably Amateo here is the furthest away. He's saying hi to Kombucha. Hi. And I have this smaller looking message here that you see on YouTube. And that is from me live streaming vertical. And so I didn't change it back. So I apologize for that. And that was a while ago, actually, too. So I didn't change it back. So I still have that. But whatever. I mean, that happens sometimes. But anyways, yeah. So, I don't know if I should, in a sense, get brave and try this and start doing some jobs on the side of this kind of work, but the other thing is, that I don't want things to become, and I'm if you can relate to this, let me know. Things that you have really a lot of fun with, I don't want it to become a job, and I don't want to dislike it because now I'm doing it for money. And so that's the other thing that sometimes is a rough situation, right? Because I remember when I started, YouTube, and it was just so much fun. And then for a while, I ruined that for myself, because then I kept on putting pressure on reaching certain goals, and getting monetized is great and all, but it's just the beginning. It is the beginning of everything. And then from there, it's a struggle to grow and grow your audience and grow the views. I mean, even if you have subscribers, it doesn't matter if you have 10,000 subscribers and no one watching your videos, you don't make money. Am I right or wrong? So it's like you got to be watching people's videos or they got to be watching your videos to make any type of money, or you got to be selling yourself or a product or a service. And when I tried that a couple of years ago with the service, with helping people try to figure out live streaming, I found out really fast that it's really complicated because I don't think people realize how much is involved. And when they say they want to get started, it's definitely above anything they would think to get started. It's just more involved in it than people would believe on a semi professional level looking. And then when you get started, it's expensive and it can be expensive. You have to have some idea of what kind of budget you want to follow. And so then when you hold people up to that tightly, then that becomes a struggle because they don't realize everything that's involved. And then when you have like these consultations, it's like it's over their head. When you start talking to people about, okay, I want to be on this professional level. I want to look like you do. Okay, then you need a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You don't need, and this is where I talk about these things, and this is why I've done videos on saying, okay, you can have a lot of things, but don't spend, $1,500 on a camera. You can spend $500 on a camera and have a camera that's going to be good enough, and your sound will be good enough, and you won't be over your head in money. And plus, what happens so often, it happens so often, is that people end up being over their head with the tech, and they get a camera that they spent $500 or $700 on, even if it's a fairly simple camera like a ZV-1, and they don't crack it open for 2 years because it's too much, and they end up using their phone, and their phone isn't bad, but it's nothing that they thought of. But then even when they go with the phone, right, because that becomes too much, you ever get the people that don't set their exposure and then they're moving in their room and their exposure is constantly changing when they're using their phone? So you can have a phone that looks really good, right? Because we know some of these phones have damn good enough cameras, right? But then just learning the phone, so you set your exposure, you set your white balance, then all of a sudden your phone starts looking really good. And that takes you up a few levels and saves you a lot of time, a lot of frustration. And this is what I'm talking about using that Obsbot camera that I showed you in the back, right? It's such a simple camera to use. And all that it does for the $500 and the videos I've shown about it, it's really great. And also a Stream Deck Plus, or if you got a Wave microphone from ELGATO, the Stream products from ELGATO really simplify audio for a lot of people. And I've been saying this for years also, where the audio can become really confusing for a lot of people. And so I say, try this, and see how it works. And I've been preaching this for like 3 years because the product is definitely so good and useful for people. And it's not that complicated to figure out. So Marcus is saying here, let's see how this looks with this smaller. Does it all come up? It does. Yeah, start with the phone and see if you even like the stream. Right, exactly. And I thought like the last couple of years, we were getting like so wrapped up into, oh, I got to stream. I got to look at this. I got to look at this quality level. And the phone was perfectly fine. Even a lot of time, people's extra phones that they were literally throwing out, because that becomes the issue sometimes, right? Is that you have this phone And then all of a sudden, you want to be able to have it useful for other things and not streaming with it. But I mean, I was showing examples 2 years ago of people using their S8. We're on like S23 right now, and they were using the S8 phone and the quality was good. But the quality was good because I took the time to do the things I said. I set the exposure, I set the audio, I set the white balance. You are not going to look good if you think you're just going to jump on and you see these people, they're in their kitchen, they're in their bathroom, they're in wherever they are, and they think just having the light over them and lighting them up, they look good. And every wrinkle shows on their face, and the picture is not clear. There is no contrast because you're so blown out. And it just takes time. Like, you can't just jump on and do something well, no matter what it is, the first time. It takes time to figure out. And if you care at all about what you're doing, you take the time to figure it out. And so these things, you have to do that. And I could easily use an S8 phone. And I've done those live streams with it where I put them up and no one has much to say about the quality. I mean, are you going to notice a difference? Huge, but no one goes and points it out because I still have good contrast. I still have a good white balance. My skin tones look good. The lighting in the back still looks good. And, I guess the hardest thing to get with any type of, phone like that would be like a blurry background, right? It's just a little bit tougher to get something like that. But along the way, there's just so much going on now, moving forward with new technology and some of the AI products and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But all of it takes time. And here's another thing, that no one likes to talk about, and I think probably a few people here are Mac users. And I just want to point this out because this always becomes a big deal later on. And for some reason, no one wants to admit it, and not look bad. But I'm telling you, and it's been this way, and it's slowly changing a bit, but there's been more products that work better for PC users for a long time now, because these developers are developing these products with NVIDIA video cards in mind. They all are in cahoots and they all work together and pay each other. And the products and the software are more finely tuned for PC products, much more for the last years. And it's been that way for streaming for a long time. Is it slowly changing? Yeah, it's slowly, and it's still not there yet, though. I mean, I see a lot of new products coming in, and the first thing they'll say is, oh, this product's good for Mac and PC. And then you come to find out when you talk to a Mac user, I'll give you, for instance, the Obsbot camera that I'm talking about. I have done videos on, and I have friends that have it, and they say the Mac app has like 1/3 the things that the PC app has. And a lot of times with a lot of things, they're behind and take their time. And a lot of times it has to do with Apple. It's that they don't want to let people in their products, and they don't want people doing a lot. And it just is harder to do a lot of different things with the Mac products and the Apple products. But that's here and near or there, because when you have something already, you'll just make it work, and there'll be products that you can find, but it's just not going to be as easy. But I would not be like, oh, I'm going to choose to stream with a Mac right off the bat like that. I don't think that's just a great idea. I think you should be going a PC if that's your main objective. And it would be easier for you to use a lot more tools at your fingertips that would work better in general. And I'm not saying that you can't find the products. They're out there. I'm just saying you're limited to a lot more stuff, you know? Um, and you're limited to how much they do with the product also. But that's they'll people will always give examples of, well, I can use this, I can use that. And I'm like, yeah, but you can't use this, and this, and this. And you're limited by this. But, that's just it's not an opinion, it's a fact. But I'm just telling you, if you're new, why would you do that to yourself when there's other opportunities out there? But if you have something already, of course, you buy the things that just work with that. But yeah, I mean, that's is this a Rode mic? This is actually a Lewitt mic. Mateo, it's a Lewitt LCT 540. It's a mic that's been out for about, I think, 3 years. This is the later version of it though, too. So there were two versions. There was an early version and there was a second version. And so even though it's a little bit of an older mic, I really liked the way it sounded. And even I like the 440, which I have also, and the 441 I also have, which is the Lewitt. This one's kind of cool because right in the front, there are buttons that I can change for high pass filters and a couple other things that I really just like the way this sounds. And so I picked it up and I tried it out because I saw one of my audio friends really liked it, and they were suggesting, should you use this or not? The only thing is if you have a high wispy voice and not a low voice, this is a little bit tough on the S's. And so I'm using a little bit of a de-esser in here. So is it USB with XLR? It is not. It is XLR, just XLR. And I tend to use everything that's just XLR, but if I do a review on a product that has both, I do it because it's a really good thing a lot of times for people, right? So they may get a mic that, like, I have one or two of them that some companies have sent, and it's both USB and XLR. And you could start with the USB version and it works great. And then if you ever wanted to move up to an XLR, now you at least have a mic that's ready to go. Or if you're traveling and you just want to connect it with a USB into a laptop or something, then you have it. Or even your phone, right? You could just plug it right into your phone if you wanted to do TikTok or something like that. Then you could also just have it for TikTok too. So those are, the kind of things that a lot of people like with versatility, but mostly everything I have here in the studio. I have a audio interface and it's always XLR. That's just the way I am with things, because I really like good audio. And thank you for saying it sounds great. I appreciate that. I have a little bit of a EQ on it. And like I said, I take a de-esser out because I tend to have a little bit sibilance with my S's, and it's just in my voice, and someone else may not. And so that's how I take care of it. And then I run a little bit of a denoise in the background, which doesn't take everything out, but it just cuts it a little bit. So this way, if there's some noises, but if my dog does bark, you will pick it up. But I don't really worry about that too much. Oh, I finished my coffee. I keep on looking for more, but there's nothing at the bottom. But yeah, and so when I talk about like YouTube too, it's like, last year I kept on stressing about things. I was stressing of I need to get more videos done, and it wasn't happening because my schedule was too busy. And that's the thing. It wasn't happening. And then I was punishing myself. And then all of a sudden this year, everybody's coming out and they're like, oh, I'm leaving YouTube. We're doing this. It's become this. It's become the new 9 to 5 or this or that, right? You've seen the videos, guys. They're out there. And yeah, because YouTube is hard. I made a video about some of the things that I personally didn't like about YouTube, but it's not YouTube. It's you, John DeLessio over on Facebook. Hey man, what's going on? Nice seeing you. So it's not just YouTube, you know, it's you. It's you. We choose to do this and spend the time. And that's what I was talking about is like I don't want something to become that I enjoy and that's fun, then become a strain on everything that I want to do. So I wanted to just keep on enjoying that. So that's that fine line. And I had to tell myself, John, life comes first. Things come first. You know, you can't stress. And here's the bad part. Here's the real bad part. And then I'll talk to Marcus for a second. Here's the one thing that really bothered me is I would get stressed out about these things and then it would paralyze me. That's the worst part, right? Because then when I would have some time, I would not do the things I need to do. And I just didn't understand why the heck I would be doing that. I didn't really get that at all. I should have been just jumping on that and doing the things that I needed to do. And I don't know why, but I didn't. But Marcus is saying, yeah, yes, I see what you're saying. Let me pull this up because that is the important thing is exactly what you're saying right here. You know, it's never forget to have fun. YouTube is hard, but it's also very easy. Right. So like how could you say both of those things at the same time? You might be saying, right? Um because you're the one that puts the limits on yourself or puts the feelings of this is what you have to accomplish. I would say that that's what he would say, you know? We're the ones that put the limits and put the stress and you don't have to do that. And so then I just started saying, this is stupid. It's just foolish, you know? And then I just started making my videos for whatever they were. And, you know, do I want to gain more viewers and subscribers and all that? And like, I don't even use things to my advantage. I bought a Pocket 3 months ago and I could have done videos when it was really hyped up and got a lot more views, but it just didn't happen. You know, I just didn't get to them. I'm planning on doing a video of a couple things that help me out. And the Pocket 3 is definitely one of them. You know, the Pocket 3, and then I've used the Obsbot Tail Air. I want to make a video on both of them, just about my feelings on them, about how much easier it could make your creator, you know, your content creator struggles. It could really help you in a lot of different ways. And I want to bring that out so people know it. And I want people to realize it more and more because this is the other thing is that people have been talking more and more about how we're sick and tired of people saying everything's great. The product comes out and everybody floods all the good things. Then these people get these things and they work like garbage. And then, you know, there's half truth to that because then a lot of people struggle with all these types of things too, as far as the tech. They struggle with it. And then they look for all the answers and they want to find every shortcut to not do the work, you know, to work on themselves to get better. That's the other half. But the other half is there's so many people that are said they're doing a bias this, a bias that. And I think in their head, maybe they want to be unbiased. I mean, I meant to say unbiased, you know, but it ends up being biased. And then they want it to be, but it doesn't happen for some reason because the dollars and cents end up prevailing. But there are those people out there that I feel, you know, are much trustworthy in comparison to some others, and you got to find them. So that's an issue. I'm going to hit my mute for a sec. Hopefully that worked because, man, that was a loud cough. So what are you saying here, Amateo? This is so small because like I have this silly thing, so you can't even see that. I want to get either a Rode Pod mic USB or a Shure MV7. Confused. I'm thinking about going Rode because in the future I may want to get a Rodecaster. I already owned the Rode Wireless Go 2. Yeah, so I use the Rode Wireless Go 2. I have that now, and I've had that since it first came out. And it is definitely useful in a lot of ways because, and I'm sure you know this, is that you can take those mics and you can boom them up wirelessly. You can put them on your lapel, and you can use a magnet, and you can walk around with them. And there's all that good stuff. Now, it's hard to tell people whether or not they should get a Rode Pod mic or a Shure SM7B or a MV7. They're both good mics, and they're both a good about a month, a good about a good chunk of change, I should say. Whereas there's other mics that do the same thing, but the only thing is, I think this is the thing that really gets me, where I would say you'd have to go with the Rode Pod mic. I'm almost positive now that these Rode Pod mics, when they have USB, you can connect that to the Rode virtual inputs for audio on your computer or your laptop, and then you can have virtual inputs. For that reason alone, I think if you use that, it is absolutely worth it, because then you can bring in separate music, you can bring in separate sounds for different things, which could really help you out, especially if you're thinking the stream. So I think you got to think about that. I've been watching a lot of reviews and comparison between mics. I thank you for professional. Thank you, Amateo. I appreciate that. And if you need any further input, just, reach out to me, send me a message or anything. But the whole great thing is about Rode is part of it is it's so integrated between different types of things. And even if you were to get like the Duo, right, and not the Rodecaster Pro with the 4 inputs, you can use that USB mic now and plug it into the Rodecaster Pro and have 3 mics if you ever needed that, right? So you can go from 2 to 3 just by doing that. You can't do that with other USB mics. So there is a lot of versatility if you stay with Rode, and I would never say that they're not great. When it comes to streaming, Rode and ELGATO have some of the best products for that kind of stuff. So you're saying, Marcus, that I could not be unbiased because I don't have enough gear to compare. I can only talk about how useful something is to me. And that's perfect, though, right? I think that's great, though. That's what we should be doing. And even if you got something for free, I think there's people out there that tell the truth. Believe it or not, I had cameras, 3 cameras sent to me this year, and it was a 3 wireless setup, and I've done a live stream on them, and they sent me the products for free, and everything all together that they sent me, I don't know, it was $800 or something like that. And they kind of tricked me, but I didn't mind. It was in the back of my head, but they're like, send us the product back. We have to give you a newer version of it, this and that. Well, as soon as I sent it back, they never reached out to me again. I was having so many issues with the picture of the quality of the video, and I was having so many problems with streaming with it, and it was getting worse. It wasn't even getting better. I get a new firmware, and some of the things were worse. And I was like, I can't recommend this. And so I sent it back. They never reached out to me again. They never sent me anything. They never replied to my emails. And I was not going to go and say good things about that. And many people have, and many people I'm sure have bought it, but I'm not going to do that to the people that I know. I didn't think it was good enough, and I don't care. I just don't think it was good enough, and I wouldn't send it out to anybody. Now, when it comes to these Obsbot Tiny 2s and this Tail Air, some people will be like, well, yeah, it's still a lot of money. And especially they throw that out there where you got to get the NDI license for another $100. But still, when you talk about $500 or $600 for a camera that pan tilt zooms, and it's got a real good color and it's got really good white balance, and you can got a battery built in. You can add the NDI license, which you can't to a lot of other products. Then it becomes, well, it saves me a lot of time, you know? And so that's where I think things come into effect too. If it's saving you a lot of time, then I think that you got to think about that too. And that, because time is money, you know? And so I see on Facebook over there, Dan, what's going on, man? Thanks for coming in and saying hi. I haven't streamed much, and I'm just in here chatting, and I'm over in YouTube too. And I haven't done a Facebook and a, you know, YouTube live stream in a long time. And so I just jumped in and started chatting. Oh, here's Tommy. How you doing, Tommy? Mama says YouTube's a devil. You know, we all talked about this. It was no surprise to us that it was hard, you know, or that it could take a lot of your time and life. And everybody's got a different life. But I just think that, you know, you got to take everything for, you know, listen, how many times did you see like, oh, I'm going to quit YouTube? And then how many crappy titles did you see about people trying to suck more people to watch other videos about YouTube, where they're in no means were they going to quit. They just know they could ride the wave of the titles and everybody talking about leaving YouTube. And this is what I'm talking about. This kind of stuff goes on forever and ever. But in the end, I think everybody's got to do things for their own pace. I'm just saying that as the type of person I am, where I wish that I could have more time to get more things out there, I had to stop punishing myself to the point where I was, like I said, I was paralyzing myself. So even when I did have time to do something, I wasn't doing those things. And then when you come to that kind of situation where you kind of start doing that, then it becomes like, well, what are you doing to yourself, and why are you doing that? It just makes no sense. And it's easy to say, right? It's like really easy to say, but it's a lot harder to do. And I can't make an excuse. I mean, that's my own problem. But I just think that I got better this year with that. I came to a point where I said, I'm not going to keep on doing that to myself. And when I get the videos out, I get the videos out, and the subscribers I get, the subscribers I get, and the views I get whatever it is, you know. And it just kind of fell into that thing where I wasn't going to let it punish me as much anymore. Dan says on Facebook, I have used all platforms and YouTube. Oh, there's no doubt about that. There's no, and Dan, you know, because you've been in these conversations with me a couple of years ago, and I just want to let people know, if you're watching, Dan's a YouTuber. He's Dan Bearded, and he's got a YouTube channel with, I think, he's got probably about 75,000 subscribers now. And he's full gun on YouTube. And I think that, you know, I think the thing is that we were talking about a couple years ago, because everybody was like, oh, do you put yourself into Instagram? Do you put yourself out onto TikTok? Do you do all this to try to scoop up more people? And I never felt that way. And other people did, but I just felt like if you want to get good at YouTube, you got to spend time on the YouTube platform. And that's just 83. So, okay. Oh, Jesus. Right. So, man, you're 83,000 and he's got, so he's even further ahead than I thought. But you're doing great. But the thing is I just felt like if you have limited time, why would you spread yourself so thin? And I think TikTok is fantastic for putting your product out there and getting eyes on it, but it's definitely the worst when it comes to getting any kind of payout at all. I mean, you could do virtually 5% less. You could do 5% compared to the 100% you're doing on TikTok and make more money on YouTube. But I just think that I wanted to spend more time on YouTube because it was more important. And I think it's going to be a long road before you make any money. But can you get sponsorship over TikTok? Can you leverage that and then say, listen, you can get sponsorship on YouTube, and then you could say, I'll throw this in where I have 50,000 people over on Instagram, 50,000 or 100,000 over on TikTok, and I will, work with a product and tell these people this is where I can also put your product in front of these eyes. And does that help with leveraging things? And yeah, it does. But it's just, in the end, though, don't fool yourself. You got to know that that's what it's for and not for the main income or strategy. You got to think about this strategy because there's definitely much more involved than you think. So Tommy is saying here, it's very hard to work with very little return in the investment. And that goes with all of this. And some of us don't have a big plan on a return or a big investment though either. And if you do, then you got to stick to that. That's got to be your main focus. And you can't fall prey to the other things of just watching other people do the work. And you're not going to make your money off of all the views. That's just another tool. It's another tool to get to where you need to get. And that's where, people don't understand it. Like you can leverage these tools. And I'll give you for an instance, I'm going to give you a really honest conversation I had with my son yesterday, who's 12 years old. And we just shoot the breeze on these conversations. We just throw this out there. So he's 12 years old and he's talking about how does a 12-year-old make money? What is possible? And then we looked it up. And some of the things you could do is like mow the lawns of other people's. You can, this before you can even get working papers or anything, but there's other things out there. Newspaper routes were one thing, but blogging, a YouTube channel. I was suggesting to him because we sent him to drone school last year. He learned how to fly drones with me, and then he went to school. He learned even more at that school. People are paying people to fly drones $60 up to $100 an hour. And I was telling my son, here's your chance, right? To put yourself out there. And I was saying, there are more things out there that you belittle your skills that you're learning that people pay for. They pay for these things and they will pay for these things. Don't think the things you know are worthless. And he goes, well, how come you don't use these things? And I said, I've thought about it and I've weighed some things out there. And I told him that, I started trying to give people advice and I would have meetings with them. And it just felt like I didn't have my priorities set. And this is where I think I have to have more of a plan of action and hold people accountable to these types of situations. Because if you let a person just go about something that they really don't fully understand, you will go on this ride and you will waste your money. You will waste your time. You'll waste their time too, because they need to be reeled back in 99% of the time. You know how many people I've had come to me and say, John, this is how you gotta do it. And they're not even streaming anymore. They're not even doing a video. I haven't seen them in a lifetime. And that happens a lot. So I'm not saying that I know everything, but trust me, I don't. But I'm learning some of the things and I'm trying to talk about these things because I think a lot of us think on these smaller levels. And so I was telling my son, you could start an online meetings with teens and show them how to start live streaming using OBS. He knows the basics of OBS and has for years. He's 12. He knows the basics to start using editing on DaVinci Resolve. I told him, stop thinking that all these other kids know this stuff. They don't. and you have skills that people don't. And this is how you could sell yourself in small little ways. And I was just saying, something small, like where you start a little summer group and you have a 2 hour meeting with these kids and you get for $20 and say you got 6 kids to show up, hey, anything's possible, and that could be a start. And these are the things that these kids should be thinking about at that age, because all these things are available for these younger kids to use this type of stuff as income. And if it just starts there with their heads starting to roll out these ideas, it's only going to increase as time goes on. And then they'll be having bigger things happen, in their lives. The AI starts tying in with this, and they could start utilizing all these types of things for them. And really, you get behind something, you never know what it could become. But if you're just going to sit there and not be creative in any way, I think you're just wasting some time, because all of us deserve to be creative to a certain extent. And I think we really suppress that side of us in our lives. The typical lifestyle of an American suppresses their creative side tremendously, and that's not just me saying it. It's been known for a long time. But what did you say here, Tommy? Oh, that was another thing, Tommy. eBay loaded up teenagers making $50K a year. That was another thing I brought up. And because he was like into the whole sneakers thing, and sneakers is tough, right? Though, because it's kind of saturated. But I said, you could take anything. It could be anything. Cause I know a lot about older BMX bikes, and I could find deals and I could flip some of that stuff, and I've done it, and he's seen it. So he's like, well, how do you know? And I said, you have to take the time and you find something you enjoy. I enjoy the older BMX bikes in the 80s, early 80s. I know what they're worth. I know what they cost. I know what a good deal is. And I know what all the parts are. So when you find certain things, or like I've done with some of my equipment, is I know what stuff costs. I know what a good deal is. I mean, last week I could have picked up a ZV-E10 for $400. That's a pretty freaking good deal, right? Then I could have turned around and made $100 on that. So we did talk about those types of things, about finding something that you enjoy and then engorging yourself in not the knowledge of what things cost and what resale is. And that's at your fingertips by hitting up eBay. And then you'll get a good idea what these things sell for, and you make some money. So Mike Palmieri, what's going on? It's cool that he went to drone school. Yeah, I mean, it really was cool. It was a really cool thing. And he really enjoyed it, and he had a lot of knowledge before he even got there. And even we did a little video last week. Him and I went to the park and showed you the cherry blossoms on Instagram. You can check that out, Coffee Talking Tech, or my Facebook. And we did a little video with the cherry blossoms. Him and I were there for about 30 minutes. So we just ran around, we got the footage, and we trucked out. I said to him, man, you and I just spent 30 minutes and we got this footage and we made this video really quick. It was like, it was really a lot easier. And the thing that made it easy, which I love to talk about, is the products that make things easier. The Pocket 3 was huge, DJI Pocket 3. And then there's this big secret, right, that no one knew a few years ago. We were all, me included, 5 years ago, I was buying those $50 drones on Amazon. And I was like, holy cow, these things are so hard to control. And I couldn't control them. I'm up like 100, 150 feet. The thing's like going to the side, that you got to like even up the trim so this way it doesn't fly all over the place. And it was so herky jerky, and the video was pretty good if I didn't move. Spend some money, get a DJI drone. Even if you got a DJI, even the 2 version of the Mini 2. I have a Mini 2 that I bought, and then a week later I went out and bought the Mini Pro 3, because I was so blown away how good those, little bit more expensive. Yeah, they're a lot more. Okay, they're a lot more. But the thing is, they're freaking good. They're really good. You can control them easily. They have sensors. They save you from running into things. Everything is like you push a button if you're out of control, and you could just bring that home. It's really good. It's unbelievable. So, um, here you go. I mean, this is a perfect example right here. That's all I do on eBay is sneakers now for the last 2 years. Turned 260,000 last year working from home. I love shoes. BMX is a big moneymaker. So there you are. So if he can find the shoes, right? And that's the thing, is that people come in everywhere and hoard those shoes up real fast. If you know the right places to go, I know you and I talked about this last year, that you go out to Pennsylvania sometimes. I don't know if you still do, but if he wants to do something like this, we all told him we'd be in for this and would make it a family thing once a month. And we'll run out there, you'll pick up some stuff, or we hit these places and you find these sneakers, or you get on Facebook Marketplace. What's a good deal? I just want to see more motivation from him. And I'm not going to lead the way because I want him to lead the way. This is his thing. And I want him to find an interest. But sneakers is an interest to him because he is a sneaker guy. He loves the sneakers. He knows what all these fancy sneakers cost, and I can't tell the difference by looking at them. So that's fine if he thinks they're really cool. Good for him. But yeah, so that's things that I talk about with my son. So this way, there's opportunities. I know a lot of people just talk about college. And I do talk about that too. And but I want him to know that doesn't stop you from being a teenager or a 12-year-old or any age from starting a business that you could start and you could have no college. And I don't care if you fail, because you know what? People fail a lot. And the people that fail usually fail a lot become successful, because you have to fail a lot before you get good at anything. And then you don't cry because you never tried. I look at him and I tell him honestly, to look at your son and say, I don't want you to ever be like me, where I didn't try my fullest. And now you're 50 something years old. And I regret that. I regret the things that I did. I don't want you to be that way. I want you to try a bunch of things. You find things that you enjoy, that you can take a piece of that. I really wanted to get into cybersecurity. That's where I'm coding with cybersecurity. That's where I would like him to take a look at and see, because I just know for a fact that that's never going to go away. And there's money to be made. And if you enjoy it, or you enjoy that type of coding or that kind of job, there's versatility. You can go from a school that needs it, or a town where they might jump around to each schools to take care of that thing, to working for, big government companies. So it's not just, it's needed everywhere. So that's just what I try to talk to him about. And then, maybe as he moves forward, he'll look at some more of these things. But I don't always say like that it's college. And he brings up Air Force too. So that's another thing where he talks about that. But, like eBay is definitely somewhere. And I told him like years ago, and I think I mentioned this to you, Tommy, is that years ago I would, get on Chinese website, buy 30 motorcycle gloves, and they would send them to me, stole my credit card twice. And I would resell them in forums, not even on eBay, because I would have to pay no fees and they would pay the shipping, and I would make hundreds of dollars on motorcycle gloves. And then I would use that to buy some of the things I wanted to buy for my motorcycle. It was like a little biz that I would do to make money to use what I wanted to get for my bikes instead of pulling it out of my pocket. And those are the kind of things you can do with anything that you enjoy when you find a niche that you like, and then what things sell for, and you can make some money on. And because you can resell things or you could do services, and it just all depends if that services take a lot of time. Is it worth it? Do you enjoy it enough to be caught up spending more time? Is it the time limits you on making money on that kind of stuff too? So there's all these things that are possible. But back to what I was trying to say is, do I want to get myself some of this equipment where I could be out in the field and live streaming or recording people's life and getting paid for it? That's what I wonder if I want to do it. And I'm going to see with it, maybe if it is or not. Maybe I try a little bit of it and see what happens. And go from there. I don't know. Like, do people market themselves to bands and then these bands could play in places? Or do people market themselves to places and then the band show up and then you can sell the band something also as far as your recording of everything? Or do you just be friends with people and they record and you can make money that way? Or do you pick something that is popular? Like, now weddings is tough because I just feel like there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure on a wedding. That's like, a big one, but it probably pays well. Maybe, I don't know if I would want to go there, but I don't know if any of this would be a possibility. I'd have to see. Then I have this problem where I don't like people that much. I don't know if that's a problem or not. I want to go to, go to Costco with my wife and my son today and just want to grab people by the head and smash their heads into the bumpers because they're so stupid. But, it's like the people out there are just so selfish, and all they think about is themselves. And on top of it, they just don't care. God, it's crazy. And that's why I don't like most people. Anyways, and I don't really have the patience to hold back on it too, because I don't know. I do my fair share of saying things and no one else does. And then of course, I'm the guy. I end up being the bad guy, but I don't really care if I'm the bad guy or not. What? Mute what? Mute what? I should mute everything. Mute myself. But I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm done anyway with all this jibber jabber. I just jumped on here. I didn't expect that really anybody to want to show up anyway, to be truthful with you. So I just was on here talking. I'm grateful that anybody showed up to begin with. And probably end this. It was kind of fun doing now that Facebook, you can't just click. Oh, that's probably, what is that telling me? Facebook, you can't just click certain things anymore and just live stream to it. It's like you have to do the RTMP thing. And then I started that Facebook first, and then I went into YouTube and then started streaming there. So it wasn't too bad. Just a couple extra steps instead of it being easier, like where just you click it and both streams go out. But when you're a little rusty, it's a little bit harder. But it wasn't too shabby. What's everybody else doing on their Sunday? Now that it's almost about dinner time, I think I'm going to take this night vibe and head out. And I appreciate everybody stopping in on Facebook and on YouTube. And I'm going to probably cut it out and just call it a day. And the Knicks are into the second round of the playoffs. I think the next game is Tuesday at 7. I'm going to have to take a look and see which one it is, but I'm definitely going to be checking that out because it's kind of fun watching the Knicks right now. So I think I'm going to check that out and see how that goes. Is this thing, let's see if this thing is working for me. Oh, it's not. I'm just hitting some buttons that I haven't touched in a while. This one works. See that? The end. At least that one works because that's where I'm going to do. I'm going to hit the end and head out. So I just wanted to see if it worked. It does. Thanks, Mom. Yes, I'll talk to you soon. Great conversation. It was fun talking to you guys. I think I'm just going to hit the road. Everybody have a great time. Let's hit some music.